What you're looking at is Nutnfancy's multi-day backpacking gear selection. This is very frequently what I carry when I go on a multi-day backpacking extravaganza in the Rocky Mountains. No joke. I don't carry all this gear, and I'll delineate as I go along the differences in gear and why I would choose one piece of gear over another. You guys that have been asking for this, I think you'll find that it's going to give you the information you've been looking for, and you'll dig it. If, however, you're not into survival, you're not into backpacking, hiking, camping, tactical systems, then you probably will not be interested in this video. You'll find it boring. Keep surfing on YouTube. There's lots of videos of guys lighting their farts, lip syncing to songs. Lots of good stuff that you might find interesting out there. This may not be for you. However, if you are a backpacker, I think you're going to find a lot of information distilled from my decades of experience of backpacking, what has worked for me, what I like carrying, what comprises good weight versus bad weight, and I think you're going to dig it. There's lots to cover. This will be a multi-segment, i.e. multi-part video. There's just too much information to cover in just one segment. It's impossible. Also, I may say some things that you disagree with, and your system may vary from mine, and I respect that. I can generally tell by the way someone posts their comments what kind of individual they are and what kind of experience they have. And if you respect mine, I'll respect yours. However, what you're going to see and what I'm going to tell you has been proven by me personally over many years to work. And I've pretty much gotten rid of all the crap that doesn't work, and I've stuck with the good stuff. Now, that's not to say everything I'm showing you is perfection. It's not. Every time I go out in the out of doors, I'm learning and perfecting my system. And I will talk to systems, whether I'm talking about backpacking, tactical systems, knife systems. Everything works together. We just don't go out in the woods with a single knife and that's all we have, a knife clamped between our teeth like a pirate. Nope, it's part of a system. And that system would comprise of GPS, camera, optics, first aid, clothing, tents, sleeping gear, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's get going. There's lots to talk about. Rock on. I'm going to start with the clothing section. Now, actually, before I do that, I got to give you some background on what this system represents. And what it represents is my style of hiking. Sorry if I'm moving the camera too much. It's easier if I just hand hold it because there's lots of panning to do. I think it'd be too mechanical on the tripod. This represents my style of hiking. And my style of hiking that I prefer most, I don't always do it, is when I go out on about an 8 to 15 mile backpack trip, sometimes more, sometimes less, into very remote areas of the Rocky Mountains. And I'm talking really remote, where no vehicle can go, oftentimes where even no horses can go. It's just too rugged. And I like going to high mountain lakes and bivouacking near those lakes and making a base camp. And so the gear selection I'm going to show you represents that style of hiking, of bivouac hiking. Now, I know a lot of you guys and maybe some future viewers will find this video and they like doing hike-throughs. In other words, maybe doing an 80-mile hike in a week, and every night they break camp in the morning, and then they bust a move and they keep moving on down the trail, whether it's the Appalachian Trail, the Rocky Mountain Trail, or what have you. There's a lot of guys that like hiking that way. This is not that type of system. Honestly, I have too much weight, too much gear for a hike-through type of system, and this does not represent that type of system. This is a lot of weight, but it gives me a lot of capabilities. And if you saw my mobility versus firepower video, that's what we're talking about here. Firepower in terms of backpacking, camping in remote areas can otherwise be termed as capabilities. Once I get up into the high mountain areas, what type of capabilities will I have? If you're a bare minimum camper and you take basically a tarp and a sleeping bag and that's it, and maybe a couple freeze-dried meals, your capabilities when you get to where you're going are going to suck. They're going to be very limited. And I know this from experience and from my friends and associates that I've hiked and backpacked with over the years. Yeah, your pack may weigh 20, 30 pounds, but don't kid yourself. When you get to those areas, you're not going to have near the capabilities that Nutnfancy has. And that's just how I roll. I like capabilities, or firepower, when I get to the backcountry. And that's what I'm going to show you section by section as I go, and I'm going to talk about what capabilities I'm discussing. I'm going to start actually not with clothing, but right over here. What the heck is that? Not the guitar, but that is actually a Sevylor pack raft. Okay, the olive drab thing with breakdown paddles. These are the type of capabilities I'm talking about. A Sevylor pack raft can give you an amazing capability on a high mountain lake. You can access fish, i.e. trout, that would otherwise be inaccessible, completely inaccessible. And more importantly, it's just fun. There is something special about getting out on a lake at 10 or 11,000 feet elevation and going nautical. It's cool. If you haven't done it, don't knock it, because everybody I've turned this on to is a fan. I may do a review on this raft by itself, and I'll show you it in use, perhaps in a separate video. Don't know. If there's interest, I will. But take it from me, this Sevylor pack raft, about $60, I bought it from campmore.com, is just amazing. Now, it weighs something though. It weighs, I think, around 4.5, 5 pounds. I don't remember exactly. But it's substantial, the weight. But that's what I'm talking about. This is the firepower side of the equation. No, we're not talking about spraying bullets or anything like that. Remember, firepower is an all-encompassing term. In backpacking terms, it means capabilities. The ability to get out on a high mountain lake and paddle around just rocks. Now, don't kid yourself. You can easily die doing this. If you were to somehow swamp or sink in the middle of a high mountain lake, especially if the wind is up, you would get hypothermic so quick that you could easily die. And it's a very serious thing if you decide to go nautical, my term, in a high mountain lake. Doable. Fun, but you better do it smart. That's why, yet again, you see me having a quick inflate PFD. This is a life preserver that has a CO2 cartridge on it with a quick pull tab that I can inflate, put over my head, and yeah, I may be like numb from the cold, but I won't drown. And I can slowly, hopefully, paddle to shore. These two things, when you're talking about a cold mountain lake, go hand in hand. I will never go out on a raft without an inflatable PFD. And this is the most compact PFD I can find. By the way, PFD stands for Personal Flotation Device. Don't get out on your raft in a lake that has, 50 degree, 40 degree water and, take that lightly. It's deadly serious. You can die very quickly. Every year, people die in high mountain lakes due to hypothermia. So, will this protect me from hypothermia? No, but it'll keep me afloat, and hopefully, I'll have enough wits about me to get to the lake. And that's if, in the unlikely event, the Sevylor raft punctures. This is made of rubberized nylon, by the way. This is not a vinyl raft. It's a high-quality rubberized nylon. It has 2 flotation chambers. So, very cool. It weighs something. In fact, all this probably weighs, heck, I don't know, 8 pounds, I'm guessing. A lot of guys will look at that and go, there's no way I'm packing that in 15 miles into the backcountry. I understand that, and I respect it. However, to me, it's worth it. Firepower. That brings us to kind of a hygiene item, and that is when you have to go number 2, out in the woods. Worst thing I hate is when I go out in the woods and I see someone's toilet paper hanging out on the trail. Uncool. So you should always have a backpack trowel with you. This is a cheap garden trowel, Fiskars variety, I bought for 97 cents at Walmart. And yes, you can see it's been used a lot, and that's what you should have, a backpack trowel. Now there's some fancy dancy metal ones that like REI sells. Waste of money, and they're way too heavy. In fact, this is pushing it weight-wise for me. And if you have another way that you can somehow, hide your thing, so to speak, do it. But this is the best thing I found. And this is a very sharp trowel that's effective. And it can cut through roots, and you're going to have a lot of roots and rocks where you're going. So you need a trowel that can work. Also, this can double in covering your fire after you put a fire out and any other digging tasks you might have. It's not a huge shovel, but it beats nothing. And of course, I've got the obligatory toilet paper. Maybe I wouldn't take that much. This is more realistic. what I would take. Just depends on the trip length. And then I sewed a camouflage nylon bag with a color-coded patch on the bottom so I know what's what. And that holds my bathroom supplies. That's what we'll call those. Should have them. That brings us to clothing items. Depends on the trip length, and a lot of what I'm going to show you really depends on the weather. What's the weather doing for my trip length? And I will dress and pack accordingly. Now what I'll do often is I'm going to say that what I'm showing you here represents the coldest it will get at night will maybe be around 30 degrees, around freezing. In the daytime, maybe around 70 degrees. The system I'm going to show you will cover that range of temperature nicely. And I'm going to take at least 3 pair of socks with me on a 5-day trip, maybe more, probably 5 or 6 pair. I didn't want to stack them all up here. Socks are relatively light to carry. I don't really get wrapped around the axle either about sock technology. These are ones I bought at Costco. This particular one is merino wool. And then these here, I believe, are made of thermax or polyester. But they're thick, they're comfortable, and they provide a lot of cushioning. A little bit of warmth. I'm not really after the warmth so much in that temperature range because when it's night, 32 degrees, I'm not hiking around. And what I'm not showing you are my liner socks. I got a lot of gear here to show you, but I couldn't get everything together. It took me 2 hours to get what I got, so all laid out for you guys. So forgive me if I don't show everything. But liner socks would be in addition to. And a lot of you guys who are new, you'll say, what's a liner sock? A liner sock would be something you put on your foot, and then you would slip into a thicker weight sock with a boot sized accordingly, and then that would prevent blister formation as you're hiking in. Very important, by the way. That's socks. Again, don't get too wrapped up on sock technology. Don't spend too much on either. Look for sales, campmore.com. Costco is a great place if you live in the U.S., not sure in Europe and in Australia and the Orient. And then we get to headgear. This is one of my favorite hats of all time. It's a synthetic nylon hat by Northface. You see me wearing it already. I have different colors. It dries quickly. A good ball cap's a necessity, as is lightweight fleece caps. This one's a Underarmour brand, and it has a wind membrane in it. This one is just a military issue, sage-colored fleece cap in about 200 weight polar fleece. Both are excellent, and I don't ever go up in the woods without them. I might, not always, but I might take a boonie cap with me. Boonie hats are nice because they give you more sun protection, and that's nice, so you don't burn and fry. The sun will really do a number on you up there, and I'll reference that again. But a boonie hat's nice to have. The downside to it is made of cotton. If you get caught in the rain, this thing's going to stay wet, and that means you're going to be packing the weight. If you're doing a hike through, I rarely will use cotton clothing of any kind, whether I'm doing a hike through or not. So be advised. Here's a skull cap. I wear that sometime, prevent my head from getting sunburned. I don't always carry all of these things, but I'll pick and choose. What I'll probably do on the trip I'm talking about, take that Northface hat and maybe the Underarmour hat. But these are just some of the possible selections I might use in that. Then we come to other clothing selections. Let me go over here to the couch because it shows my base layer. I'm a big fan of layering, and you can tell real quick when you go hiking with someone how they're dressed if they know what they're doing. If they're wearing some heavy clothing, even if it's cold out, and I'm talking really cold, like 20 degrees, 10 degrees, 5 degrees, and if someone starts hiking wearing something like that, they don't know what they're doing. Whereas if I see someone getting out and they're wearing a synthetic t-shirt, this is a thermax t-shirt for instance, and they might have a shell, like a Gore-Tex shell on, and maybe some synthetic pants, I look at that individual and go, okay, they know what they're doing. Because you're going to heat up while you're hiking in. You'll see me reference this in my future videos as the years go on, assuming the Nutnfancy project continues as it has been, and I'll show you this. And we'll talk more about it. For my base layer, hiking in, I almost always nowadays, not always, but I'll wear long pants. And long pants are nice because they protect you from thorns, brush, your legs won't get scraped up, ticks, which carry diseases. It's just smart to wear long pants. But I never wear cotton pants. I'll always go synthetic. And my absolute favorite pants, and they have been for the last 5 years, are LL Bean Timberledge pants. I might reference these in the past or in the future. Timberledge pants. I love them. I think they're awesome. They're made out of synthetic material like a nylon or a polyester. They don't stay wet. They dry off quickly. They have gusseted legs. Hang on just a second, I'll show you this. Sorry. Like that, so you can take them on and put them off over your boots. That's my base layer. For the top layer, I'll have a synthetic t-shirt, just like you're seeing. That's it. And then if it starts getting cooler, then I go to, yet again, LL Bean. This is an olive drab anorak. Very important, very nice piece of gear. Breathes nicely. It's 100% nylon. Won't absorb water, won't stay wet, and it gives you just a little bit extra insulation, which I find just perfect. Also, it has a big old kangaroo pouch here that you can put gear in, and it's ventilated. Very nice. And you can access it from the side or from the top. Doesn't have pit zips, nor do you need them because it's 100% nylon. And that's the LL Bean anorak. That's part one, Nutnfancy's multi-day backpacking equipment extravaganza. Here comes part two shortly. Thanks for watching.